Before social media and the internet, there was the movie stars and the TV stars and the rest of us. And because there was this divide, it was a lot easier to be our true selves, to not be afraid of being seen, to put ourselves out there and take chances and risks and not being afraid to look so foolish. But in the day of smartphones with cameras on them and cameras everywhere, with just about everybody trying to present this flawless image, it is a much more common trait today to have this fear of being seen, to fear being authentic and vulnerable and flawed, and ultimately human. Displaying our true selves can be terrifying because if someone rejects us, they are rejecting the core of who we are. But it is essential for finding love and staying in love. It is essential for allowing others to love the true self underneath the defense mechanisms. And it is also essential for building a life that we genuinely love, that is designed for us, by us, about what our true heart calls for, and allows us to be surrounded by the people who resonate with that energy we're putting out. Welcome to Path to Peace with Todd Perlmutter. I'm your host, Todd Perlmutter. Our world is a projection of our collective consciousness. The more peace we bring into our lives, the more peace we bring into this world. So let the transformation begin. Oftentimes, we put up those walls because we're afraid of being found out. But when we break those walls down and we show our true colors, there is no more fear of being found out. And we become truly free. Free from criticism, judgment, or blame. Because we no longer crave praise, approval, or the acceptance of people who cannot love us for us. This is the key to true confidence. It's not confidence first, and then we're able to be seen. It's being seen which develops the confidence. And today I'm going to talk about the 3 causes of this fear of being seen, and I'm going to talk about the 3 solutions. The first cause tends to stem from our childhood, from usually ridicule or criticism. When we were being our authentic selves, before that fear of exposing ourselves ever crept in, and we were free and carefree, and then someone criticized us, called us annoying, called us dumb, and found what we were talking about, which we were genuinely interested in. Something easy to mock. And this is usually when that fear creeps in and we put on that mask that we think people will accept. When I was in high school, nobody wanted to talk about spirituality or these interests of mine, whether they were quantum physics or astronomy, things that just fascinated me. So I pretty quickly developed a fake interest in sports. That was what everyone at the cool table was talking about during lunch, and I wanted to be a part of that group. So I did everything I could to fake it through some basic sports trivia. And it worked, and I got invited to some of the parties, and I was able to sit at that cool table. But boy, did I miss out on genuine, true friends. I never fully fit in, and I was never fully in that cool group. And even when I was, in my mind, I felt like an outsider. And I know that there were so many kids at my school who were so much more interesting to me that I missed out on developing those lifelong relationships with. And it all stemmed from my desire and need to be liked and accepted. The second cause of this fear of being seen stems from a fear of being judged. And this fear of judgment often has two roots within itself. And one of those causes is that we often judge, that we judge others and ourselves so harshly that we assume everyone is judging us. But in reality, most people are just thinking about themselves. Most people are thinking about their own flaws, not our flaws. And the other reason we have this fear is because we demand perfection of ourselves. And so we live with this secret that we feel if other people found out, we would just die inside. We are harsher on ourselves than anyone else would ever be on ourselves. And so we assume that any imperfection, any flaw, makes us unworthy. And like everyone else is focusing on that and talking about it behind our back. And people are keeping a scorecard and writing down all the things that we have as a weakness or that we're working on, instead of just seeing ourselves as human and normal and flawed like everybody else. And the third cause of this fear comes from a mindset of comparison and competition. This is what social media reinforces every time we're on it and just drills into our brain this notion of measuring ourselves against other people, and usually measuring ourselves against someone's digital photo filter or the image of a perfect life when the reality is something far different. This always tends to magnify our insecurities and make us feel like any flaw in our lives or on our body is under a microscope, and that the whole world can see it and is judging us all the time. I talk a lot about this actually in my book, Digital Ego, because the way that social media and the internet work is to hijack these normal drives. We, all humans, have a drive to compete for resources. But social media makes us competing with the most beautiful, the richest, the people with those fake perfect lives. And it leads us to living fake lives, to putting up that front, that flawed illusion of a life that doesn't exist and can never exist. And we try to do things to boost our ego through social media, and in reality, it destroys our ego, our sense of self-worth. And so, for Mental Health Awareness Month, for the rest of May, that book, Digital Ego, is highly discounted at $2.99 so that everyone can have it. And it's so essential for anyone who's online, for anyone who has young people in their lives who are spending a lot of time online, to figure out a way to maintain our mental health, to become happy and joyful so that we choose how we use social media and that it doesn't use us. They are trying every day to hack into the human psyche, to keep us glued to the screen. It doesn't matter if it is because it is bringing us joy or misery. All that matters to these companies is that we stay on. And when that behavior becomes compulsive, we become enslaved. And there is no greater feeling in the world than freedom. Freedom to choose, freedom to act as we wish, as our highest self wishes, and not from this lower level of consciousness that is addicted and suffering. I always say that it was bad enough when we just had egos running the world and causing war and greed and poverty and all the problems of boosting our egos. Now we have digital egos, and they are like egos on steroids, constantly needing likes, follows, comments, subscribes, and always puffing up its metaphorical chest and beating it like a gorilla, hoping to be the biggest alpha chimp in the forest and competing with strangers and bots and people that have no real impact on our lives. Not our family, not our friends, not the people that truly care about us. So please check that book out, as it's really written for helping us all be seen, truly seen, not through filters, not through Photoshop, but our true, authentic selves. We don't have to give up social media, and Lord knows it would be impossible to give up our phones or stop getting on the internet. But we can expand our consciousness, raise our awareness to the comparative and competitive mindset that the digital technologies are creating, so that we can rise above them. The first solution for overcoming that fear of being seen is to fully and completely own our insecurities and love our flaws. This doesn't mean that we don't have to work on ourselves, that we give up, that we just accept not being good at something or accept having failed at something. The complete opposite. We simply love where we are on this step of the journey. We don't just stop resisting what we don't love about ourselves, but we embrace it with open arms, enthusiastically. If it's something we can change, we do so with joy, not with stress, which is going to be only short-term, temporary gains, followed by usually a reversal in our progress. If it's something we can't change, we honor it, embrace it, love that about ourselves. What other choice do we have? Imagine putting it on a pedestal so high that no one can tear it down. When we reach this place, we can joke about ourselves, and we can joke harder than anyone else could even come close. Truly, it is insecurity that highlights in a negative way something we feel about ourselves. But when we own our insecurities, when we become grateful for them, it's like they disappear to others as well. They're no longer something bad because we exude so much positivity towards it. And the way we feel about something tells others everything, because there is no perfect nose. Wrinkles aren't bad. They are only bad if they prevent us from living the most joyful, wonderful life we possibly can. It's been said that models are the most insecure people on earth. So no matter who you are, what you look like, there is no level of beauty or perfection that will help you feel confident and secure. The only way to reach that is to love whatever you hate the most, to love it the hardest, to be your loudest and most vocal cheerleader, and it will drown out all the insecurity and any cruel word from any unkind person. The second thing we need to do is embrace scary things. Now, this doesn't mean run into traffic. This means those things we want to do, but that our mind convinces us not to. What our higher self truly wants, but that we have fear about, that we are resisting the most. That is what we should be running towards, not away from. When there needs to be a presentation given at work, instead of waiting to see who volunteers, we jump up and volunteer ourselves. Or when I was younger, I took improv classes, and many of the people there were doing it because they had a fear of speaking up, of feeling confident to be able to take up space, to be seen and heard. And there is a great concept in improv that applies directly to this, and that is the concept of don't think. This was how the actors on stage are in the moment, fully present, responding authentically instead of overthinking. To think is to hesitate, and to hesitate is to miss out on a genuine moment that can be exciting and wild and unpredictable. And this was when that comedy gold just came out and just started flowing. When we get in our heads, we start to think of all those worst case scenarios, and all of that insecurity bubbles up to the surface. So whenever there is something that we know we want to do, but we have some fear, jump in with both feet. Just go for it. Don't think too much, and take a chance. And always something new and exciting will happen. You might find out that thing wasn't for you, but you gained experience, you gained wisdom, and now you know for certain not to do that again. But at least you were following your heart, your instinct, your gut, your intuition. And that is so much wiser than those fears in our mind that are trying to protect us, but are really preventing us from living a full life. The third thing we need to do is give up the desire for praise. So many of us get our self-worth from the current praise or criticism we are receiving. But our value cannot fluctuate that much. Our true worth cannot change moment to moment based on some fleeting experience. Our self-worth comes from within. It comes from us, recognizing our infinite potential and our infinite nature. So often we get praise and we get so happy and excited that we just crave more and more of that praise drug. But no amount of praise will bring us lasting, genuine fulfillment, especially if we are putting on a front and receiving it for something that isn't even who we are. Only when we don't know our true selves, our true nature, do we require the praise of others to bring relief from our suffering. But when we know ourselves, when we know our inherent worth, when we know that God inside of us, we no longer need praise to lift us up. Desire is the root of all suffering. And whether we are craving praise or craving criticism to stop, we are not at peace. The second we stop wanting praise, acceptance, and approval is the second we give off that confident energy that says we need nothing from anyone and everyone will feel comfortable in our presence because we are not existing on some transactional level. We are not giving off a neediness from others. We do not want to take anything. We are just living our best life, and everyone is attracted to that. To be seen, to be yourself, is true confidence. And the more you step into your truth, the more not only will your fear of being seen disappear, but the more people will want to see you. So be you. Be the most you of anyone on the planet. Be grateful when people who don't love the real you fall away from your life and make way for the people who truly appreciate and love that inner spark within you. There are way too many inauthentic, fake, and unthoughtful people in the world clamoring for attention. The world needs to see you. So for the sake of the world, put yourself out there. Grace us with your authenticity and shine as bright as you possibly can. The world needs it, and you deserve it for yourself. Much love. You have been listening to Path to Peace with Todd Perlmutter. Being here and putting in this important and noble work is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself and others. If you found this podcast even a little helpful, please make sure to leave a review so it can reach others who may be in need. And remember, the path to peace starts with a single step.